bit better for at least for me than it was the first week. But as I always said, I always like to start off a little slow, start seeing what teams are doing before I get into it. Obviously, I could say, oh, it's going to be a fun slate. They're all going to be fun slates. It's a lot we can do. There's a lot of options, and I'm excited to get into it. Cheats, do you have any overall thoughts, or you want to just get into the game by game here?
We could just get into it again, just for just to give you guys an idea of where we are like during the week, right? So this is kind of our first look. We're going to focus on what games we like pretty much, because there's going to be injury stuff. There's going to be maybe value that opens up, as far as position by position stuff. But I know that Bobby, you might end up doing a position by position thing at some point, whatever. So we're not going to do too much of a deep dive. I don't know if Goldie is doing like deep dive stuff like he does for baseball. I'm not sure.
He's not doing baseball anymore either. He's too stuck up. Goldie's not going to be doing videos for a while.
Oh, okay. And then as we get later in the week, again, I have delusions about doing kind of like a build show where and for no other reason to show people how to use like the optimizers and Saber Sims and stuff like that. I was doing one yesterday, and then I got distracted, so I erased it. Honestly. But the most important thing is obviously is the Sunday, like at 11, and I know it's hard for everybody because there's a lot of other stuff going on. But if you can make it to the 11 o'clock show on the Sunday, where we put it all together, you got me and Bobby and Rhodey with three kind of different outlooks, sort of sometimes, we kind of put the whole week together. But in any case, there's plenty to do, plenty of projections go up, plenty of content. But this is going to be just kind of like the overall look at the slate and the games. Now, again. What they usually say, now you give me your opinion on this, what the DFS community usually says is that to not get too not bogged down, but don't be sold 100% that what's going to happen, what happened in week 1 is going to happen in week 2, right? And that's what I'm told. But yet on the other hand, I mean, if there is something that people weren't expecting that is just like just like whoa, and it worked, I would expect them to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I come up with that. Now again, it could be different because Mark Andrews is back, whatever it is. But like Zay Flowers, like he's obviously the freaking man over there in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. They look for him every freaking play. So I don't want to hear stuff like, ooh, just because he had a good week 1 doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have one in week 2. That's true, okay. But when it seems very, very clear that a team is going a certain way, I wouldn't rely on like last year's projections too much. You know what I mean? To go back, I would like to jump on some of the things that we're noticing. Now, the only thing I noticed basically from last week is that every team needs another preseason game. That's pretty much all I know.
The officials could use one also.
What were some of the highlights?
They missed like on 4 reviews that like even
really?
The officials said like, yeah, we can't, we missed. I mean, like they got the reviews wrong. I don't understand how they get the reviews wrong. Anyway, that's a separate.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll get started with it. We'll pull up your screen because I'm gonna have to, obviously these games all start at the same time, so there's no way we're gonna match up. So I'm gonna have to look at your screen first before I go into it. So
I can just tell you. So the first game I have is Green Bay and Atlanta, okay. And I'll just kind of like make this observation. Is that Atlanta, we had heard that they were going to open things up a little bit or whatever it is, and not just like run it down everybody's throats. Well, that seems to have been a bad narrative because they were pounding away. You know what I mean? Between both the running backs, Algier and the other one, that's, listen, if you got Desmond Ridder back there and you don't want to put the ball in his hands, and you got the running game to support it, that's whatever. But yet still, and this is one of the things. You have Drake London, who, they're waiting for him to freaking break out. Last year they wouldn't throw anything, and this year I remember there was looking at Cardi's blitz show, and he was saying, I don't know what to tell you, but he's going to just look like a great play every week, and we're all going to have to go broke continuing to play him, something like that. So he's once again. I mean, is Atlanta giving him the opportunity to do that? So I currently don't have much of anything from this game. I just figured I would throw in my little observations from last week. Jordan Love is obviously pretty good. Green Bay looked pretty good in general. I wonder how that receiver did. Because I really don't remember the Jaden Reed. I don't know how he ended up.
He didn't do much. But
just 5 targets, two receptions, no fantasy points.
How about in
So
the second
I
half?
really don't have much in this game. I mean, you like this game at all?
So it's not a game that I generally want to focus on. I am kind of interested to see what Green Bay's doing because I think that Green Bay might end up being like really, really good this year. Like this might be an upgrade without Rodgers. I genuinely believe that. Like, I mean, Rodgers was so awful last year. Now you have a quarterback who can move and get the offense moving. They looked great last week. So I have Aaron Jones as a potentially a guy I might prioritize. I mean, I think he was the leading rusher, leading fantasy point scorer last week. I have no reason to jump away from him. I know you could say touchdown upside is on his side, but it is a little concerning because you in the backfield you also have AJ Dillon, and I think that taking a shot on one of those guys is something I'm definitely considering, and Aaron Jones being the preferred one for me. I think I'm probably going to stay mostly off of Atlanta with the exception of Bijan Robinson. I believe this kid is literally the most talented running back in football outside of maybe McCaffrey, maybe like Saquon. I'm saying there's other guys who aren't better. I'm saying guys who have like just that kind of burst and explosiveness. He looks really, really good. They're also going to use him at wide receiver quite a bit. I mean, they're going to line him up on the outside, which is what they did last week. So Bijan Robinson is going to get some share of the carry, some share of the passing game. Bijan Robinson and Aaron Jones currently are my plays in this game, but I may reconsider by the end of the week just trying to stack these Jordan Love teams every week because I do think that there's talent there. I always wondered what it was going to look like, and I think that we got a glimpse of it last week. He was really good and he's really cheap. So Jordan Love, Jones, and Robinson are the only guys, but not a game stack priority for me of any kind.
I'll tell you one thing that you asked for an overall look on the slate. One thing that is completely different about this week is that all the action is in the early games, pretty much. Yeah, last week it was. I think the Chargers Miami outscored the rest of the slate pretty much. But this we got all kinds of stuff in the 1 o'clock games, starting with, and that's the way transition works. Vegas and Buffalo. So Buffalo, they played on Monday night, and that was just a weird game from a lot of ways. Let's start with the fact that the Jets defense is really good. We'll just start with that.
Yes.
Actually, we even go backwards. Like Allen had a miserable game at the Jets last year towards the end of that, where like 7 different things happened at the end of the game, whatever it is. And I think the Jets ended up winning. And then you had this weather situation where you imagine they were sheltering in place around the stadium. The rain was coming down, and it's Jets home opener. And then like Rodgers goes down after like 4 plays. The whole vibe and the whole thing was just really, really weird, And so Josh Allen every once in a while will play bad games, So the combination of all those things leads me to believe that Buffalo performance is a complete throwout. And now they're back home, home opener. They get Vegas, who's Vegas is coming off a win in Denver. Okay. And now they're going into Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to score. I think they're going to put the hammer down. They're going to put a lot of points up, and they're going to rate really, really well. So I do like the Allen, the Diggs, the Gabe Davis, that whole crew that didn't do anything on Monday night. Now they get to be home, and I think they're gonna score a lot. And I do show Vegas as like kind of an okay run back because I know where we're getting it from. You know what I mean? Between Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, I imagine that's it seems to make a lot of sense. So I think right off the bat, I think it's like a really, really good game to target.
Yeah, I think this is a good game to target. I agree with basically everything you said. I do think Buffalo. I mean, look, I was the one who sang all night on Monday and before the game and everything that all season. Like I just think Buffalo has been overrated every year, and they still have been overrated. It's interesting that they're 10-point favorites in this game. But I had the natural feeling that you did that maybe they just lay the hammer down and that's that. It's going to be hard to get like Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and Devontae Adams lineups together. You're kind of dumpster diving in a few spots if you want to do that. Same thing with the Jacobs to some extent. But all of those guys look like pretty good plays. My favorite, I am still going to say, like, look, I still like the corner from Buffalo to at least be able to maybe slow down a little bit of Devontae Adams. So these guys aren't going to be my priorities. Jacobs, Adams, just on their own, Diggs and Gabe Davis. But in the stacking side of it, I do like the idea of maybe a Josh Allen with Diggs and or Davis, and then running it back with one of Jacobs or Devontae. I don't love the run backs as much as I wish I did. So that's my only issue with this one. But I do think it is certainly the first, it's the only second game we talked about, but the first game it's definitely going to be on my list of potential stacking. So.
All right. I guess, I'll just keep going. I'll be starting off. I guess.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, if you don't
mind.
Well,
Baltimore, Cincinnati, this is like bounce back spot number 30, number 2, I guess, for both these teams. Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow combined for like 2 yards passing. You know what I mean? Like Baltimore did it in a win, Cincinnati in a loss, but Lamar was no great shakes. He didn't have Andrews or whatever.
He didn't do anything either.
What's that?
He didn't really need to do anything either.
The other game was close for quite a while.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really that close. It was kind of close-ish, and also that's because he had 2 turnovers inside the 20, but also the running backs got all the work. That's what I was saying. And there's no Khalil Herbert anymore, by the way.
Joe Burrow was bad. Everybody was bad, and now this is a new game, and I think both teams go off. I think this game could go completely ballistic and can score a zillion points. Doesn't have to be that way, but the talent exists on both sides of the ball to make it work, and seems like a very, very, very logical game to target. So Mixon's going to look good as a running back. Chase and Burrow and the other dude are going to look good for Cincinnati. Baltimore, it depends on who's in or whatever it is, but I got no problem going back to Lamar. Again, it depends on what receivers are playing, but you can run it back with your favorite from there. But I definitely think overall, I think this game I think it's certainly going to – I don't even know what the total is. But whatever it is, I think it's going to go over.
Yep. So this is another one of those that I definitely like as a game stack, but I don't feel comfortable playing any of these running backs from Baltimore. I know that usually you lose your number 1 running back. You got some other guys. Justice Hill is going to get looks. Gus Edwards is going to get looks. I'm not sure about Melvin Gordon, but even he could potentially get some looks. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with the running game. Probably not much from Baltimore side. I like the idea of Jackson to either Andrews and or Flowers if you want to bet the game gets out of hand. So I do have separately from even just stacks. I have Flowers and Andrews as pretty reasonable plays. And on the other side, I'm always okay with Joe Mixon, but I think this is more going to be the passing game situation. And I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both terrific plays. I'm still going to play Tyler Boyd when I do some triple stacks. I'm not sure this is the matchup I want to triple stack, but Burrow to Higgins and Chase week 2, maybe have some better results, a lot better playing conditions from what we can see right now. And that's the way I'm going to do it. It's probably going to be like I'll do a Burrow, Chase, Higgins with maybe Flowers or Andrews on the other side, or I'll do a Lamar, Flowers, or Andrews with Higgins or Chase on the other side, or Mixon. But this is all definitely a game that I'm interested in.
And moving right along to another good one.
This is crazy, right? There's a lot of good ones in the morning.
Yep. You got Seattle and Detroit. You got all kinds of you got Amon St. Brown on the one side. You got the normal dudes on the other side between Metcalf and Lockett. Games obviously good weather in the dome. I think Detroit's like a 7-point favorite, or close to it, which is just like a perfect environment for like a game to go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this game you could play all forms, both sides. I think Kenneth Walker, he's really good, by the way. I don't know how he ended up doing it, but he's good. I don't know how I feel about the running back from Detroit. I didn't really get a chance to see too much of it, the Jahmyr Gibbs. But I think this game is going to be there's going to be some passing here. Detroit's home opener. They're going to be juiced up, and yeah, I think that there's going to be points scored in this game as well. So I like this one a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're starting off with a bunch of them, and there's going to be another one that we haven't even gotten to yet that's going to be probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I really just want to say, I like this game as a stack, just like you. I know this is a first look show. Remember, like she said, it's a Wednesday, so we're gonna have different things we like. We're gonna have a number of things. Kenneth Walker, I really like, and I am going to be very, very overweight the Kenneth Walker ownership as of right now. He's actually a priority guy for me. Between Montgomery and Gibbs, they do like Montgomery, and Gibbs is their future. He's a really, really talented guy. So, I mean, one of these two, the problem is it's really hard with Detroit, as we know from last year. It's really not all that different this year. You just don't know who's going to be getting. Montgomery probably gets more goal line stuff. Jahmyr Gibbs, they probably run some plays where they can try to run some big plays for him, including probably lining him out wide, sort of similar to Bijan Robinson. They'll probably try that a little bit. I like Amon-Ra, and I'm surprised DK Metcalf is not getting suspended from week 1. That
was amazing, huh?
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen, so I was getting ready for the value to come from this game. But as of right now, he's playing. So I would go Metcalf and then Lockett in terms of priorities of receivers. But as the only guy in this game right now that I've got as an overall for the I guess St. Brown I do too. So St. Brown and Kenneth Walker would be my two favorite pieces of this game in terms of I would use them completely separate from stacks and everything. Probably DK and Metcalf as well. I should throw into that category. But yeah, definitely a lot to like here. You got the dome, which always feels nice. You need a bounce back from Seattle. Detroit's had the long break. I think it's going to be a fun one. The crowd should be going crazy. Hopefully Geno can keep Seattle in it, and it's a fun game because I do like that one quite a bit. Wow, it really is a great morning slate, man. I'll tell you that.
But not this game. Indianapolis, Houston. This is one game I can not worry too much about. And now that I'm looking at it, I don't think the Green Bay Atlanta game's any great shakes either, given the other stuff going on. But Houston, Indianapolis, I have no interest. Yeah, Richardson had a good game. Houston stingy. I don't know what this total is. It can't be a lot. Dameon Pierce again, which is going to add to the weeks that I lose money on Dameon Pierce, I guess. He's going to show up as probably a pretty good play again. Actually, didn't show up. Nobody played him last week except for me, and everybody else was smarter than me.
I was with you, and apparently they were smarter than me too. Because I had
this week I think they're all going to be as dumb as me, and this week maybe he's 15-20% owned, and probably score the same amount of fantasy points. But he looks decent. But I have nothing for this game, honestly.
I like that. I'm good with the Dameon Pierce thing, and I actually it's such a weird situation with what to do. One thing I did want to point out, though, is that Pittman had a very good game.
Yeah.
He's a good receiver, and I'm starting to have some belief in this. I wanted to see how Richardson looked the first week out. So I think if you wanted to do a skinny stack of Pittman and Richardson at a pretty reasonable cost, and then you the run back with Dameon Pierce, I think I'm okay with that. It's not a game that I want to target in general, but I did want to. I will probably throw in an Anthony Richardson lineup, but I'll probably do that every week just because the upside is so great and the talent level is really there with that guy. So I'm just going to keep betting on it. Pretty much nothing else though for me. I don't really like. I think it's just Pierce as a cheapo and Richardson, and then a little bit of the Richardson Pittman combo, but certainly not playing Pittman unless I'm playing Richardson. I will not play a receiver with Pittman from Richardson unless I'm going to be using Richardson also all year long, probably.
I will ask this, I guess rhetorically. Okay, all right. Listen, I'm not saying that Calvin Ridley wasn't a good play, but how did they know? How did everybody know at 30% ownership, whatever the hell this guy was, that he was going to go ballistic like this?
Because he's probably one of the 10 best receivers in the NFL, and he was mispriced.
I guess so.
I mean, before he left, you forget he was third in the league in receiving and everything. He was on a team that didn't like to throw the ball.
I guess so, but nonetheless, as I imagine you were alluding to, I mean, this game is this game's got 100 total or whatever it is. Game's going to be like Jacksonville plays like lightning, and Kansas City has no problem playing like lightning too. When pushed to play like lightning. I actually don't believe that Kansas City prefers to play that way, honestly, at this point. But this game's going to go, you know what I mean? Jacksonville's been looking forward to this game for the whole season, whole off season. And I presume that Kelsey's going to be back, but who knows? I wonder. I don't know if they're going to cut Kadarius Toney quite yet, or they're going to give him a couple of weeks. I guess they don't want to cut him yet because then they have to answer to me. But I will say this: these receivers are really cheap for Kansas City. If you knew exactly which one was going to get there, listen. If you're Jacksonville, you know what you're worried about in this game. You're worried about freaking Travis Kelce, and somebody's going to score from these dudes, right? From these Kansas City guys. I don't know who it's going to be, but it would be quite ironic if Kadarius Toney scored 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I think you have to play somebody. I don't know exactly which ones, but at least one of these Kansas City guys has to be in your lineups, I think. What's Kelsey, like 9K or something? 7,600? I mean, he's obviously the main target, but
you don't know for sure that he's playing. But
no, well, okay. So if that happens, then we got all kinds of crap. You know what I mean? But I think I think whatever. Who cares what I think? If he plays, I don't think it matters. I think with respect to those wide receivers being in play at those prices. So.
Oh, I think it matters drastically because that's the reason why you like those receivers, is because Kelsey's out. If he's in,
if he was in, but what if he's in? If he's in, like how can you not play these guys?
12 targets, and he's probably a great play on his own. And it definitely, and I mean, look, the receivers. Even in that game against Detroit, nobody really got there. Like I know Rice scored a touchdown, but he got there for a showdown slate. He didn't get there for a lineup that you'd ever want. I mean, they all will be completely unowned.
But nonetheless, okay. Before I forget, Trevor Lawrence, good play. Ridley, good play. Kirk, good play. I imagine Etienne's a good play too. Ingram maybe. So the Jacksonville guys we know. The KC guys we don't know exactly, but you know that they're going to score 25. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly who's going to score them. But someone's going to score.
Yeah. So what I would say is that I will go right back to taking shots on Jerick McKinnon if Kelsey's out in this game. Most of the time they were playing with a lead in that other game against Detroit. Okay. I still think that McKinnon, when Kelsey's out, is going to be a guy they'll look, and they did look for him near the goal line. Not enough, you know what I mean? But Toney would be. I mean, look, I love this game. It's going to be very low owned because people don't know who to play, like you were saying. What will be owned will be the Ridley part of it. And I don't think it's going to be that crazy elsewhere. So I like the idea of getting the game stacks in. I think Christian Kirk has a bounce back game. I also think we have to think about Zay Jones in general. Just like he does make some big plays. He had a really nice week last week. He's cheap enough. But I'm going to go Christian Kirk as my he bounces back game. And I think that Etienne is fine as always. But on the Chiefs side, it is harder. They're using 3 running backs right now. It would be Travis Kelce, assuming that he plays. If he's not playing, it will be Noah Gray, and I will have some Blake Bell as well. But I think Kadarius Toney is the receiver I want to take. I mean, even the speaker, whatever, after the game, I guess Toney, and you could say Valdez-Scantling. I just think they definitely tried to design some things for Toney. Yeah, he had a terrible game. I think they bounced back. I think he bounces back. I don't think he's going to drop 3 really important catches and force a pick.
No, because I don't think they let him have 3 targets.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they also ran like sweep plays for him. You know what I mean? It wasn't they gave him a goal line carry. So it's really hard to pick out the spots on KC to want to choose if Kelsey is out. But I do think it's not a bad idea to try and take, maybe a shot on Toney, maybe a shot on Sky Moore, maybe a shot on Valdez-Scantling. I just don't have a very decided. If I had to pick one of them, I think I would hold my breath or whatever it's called and then pick Toney. All right, we can move on. And now we're going to get into some games that we like a little less, I think, right?
Yep. I'll start. Chicago, Tampa. Just both the running backs here. Rashad White from Tampa. I guess Khalil Herbert from Chicago. And that's pretty much all I have here. I'm not going to get to the Mayfield experience today. And Justin Fields, I guess, is always in play every day, but I think this slate is rough, man. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of points out there for me to be playing teams against Tampa's defense. You know what I mean? So I'll probably avoid it. Probably end up playing Rashad White and be disappointed, and Khalil Herbert and be disappointed.
Fair enough. I'm always going to be open to Justin Fields taking shots. That's it. I don't really have any other reason that I'm like especially high on him. I have no interest in Khalil Herbert personally. I don't. I'm still sticking to my no more running backs against the Jets thing. I mean, it hasn't. Cheat. I feel like it never failed for like literally like 3 years. We've been doing this. It never fails. I do think Rashad White is in play. And I think both these receivers for Tampa are good and like they're well priced for the talent level. And I expect one of them to get there more often than not. Will they get there to enough of a point where we want to play them? Maybe not. I think that it's mostly going to be just like maybe one of Godwin or Evans, maybe Rashad White, and maybe you play a very skinny stack with DJ Moore of Justin Fields and DJ Moore. But that's pretty much all I've got here. It's not my favorite game at all to talk about. Possibilities. Those are not like things that I love.
All right. Chargers against Tennessee. The Chargers are in play every week. Tennessee's not the greatest matchup in the world, to say the least. But yet still, I mean, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Herbert, they're going to be in play like every week until further notice. So, and they'll be lower owned this week because the total's lower, I suppose. It doesn't feel like a game that could score that many points, especially the Chargers coming off of that game last week, which is freaking wild. So they're not going to be the priority for me this week, but they certainly look good. The only thing I will say on the Tennessee side, I'm not getting to Henry, but for whatever reason, I'm getting to a huge amount of this tight end. I figured I'd mention it, the Okonkwo.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to show up as like 40%. I mean, because it was like literally just stood out to me. And that's pretty much all I have. I have Okonkwo from Tennessee and the Chargers. Yeah, but I just feel it's the wrong slate. I don't know. I just think other teams outscore them. I don't know what else to say.
I agree. Like so, the plays that make sense to me are Okonkwo and Henry from this game the most. I definitely like one thing you can do historically on Tennessee is you have been able to beat them through the air, so it does feel like getting to some Herbert sacks with Allen and Mike Williams is a good idea. It's not a priority game for me, but it is on a tier just below the priority for me. I think there's a path here with Derrick Henry on one side, and then the problem is if the Chargers aren't able to stop the run, they're not going to the game. Tennessee will just play. They'll try to make the game as few plays as possible. That's what they do. But I do like a little bit of the Herbert, Allen, Williams stuff. So I'm going to have this as just a second tier game, which means maybe I play it like 3 or 4%, something like that. I do think that Derrick Henry on his own and Okonkwo are both good enough plays to just use anywhere. All right.
Giants at Arizona. Couple of things from this game I have. I do think that the Giants bounce back. I was about to say they'll play better. I imagine they can't play worse.
Yeah, I can't get a lot worse.
So obviously it's a defense downgrade. You know what I mean? Like playing the Arizona. Although Arizona was pesky, obviously, against Washington. But I think Barkley could have a good game, I guess, at low ownership. But I think the real play from this game, if anything, is once again the Arizona defense.
Yep.
Arizona 2,600. So that would be my only thing for this game. Maybe Barkley. I didn't even look at the projection. I'm just going to presume that he might be okay. And Arizona defense.
Yeah. So I don't know what to do exactly with this game because I've got like I thought Darren Waller was going to have a good year there. He's too expensive anyway right now, but I do think Zach Ertz and James Conner are in play. But I've seen a projection on Conner. They're really liking him, and I'm not exactly sure that it should be this high. But I either way, I do think Conner looks reasonable. I think Zach Ertz is one of the guys. Look, what did he drop 2 in the end zone last week? I think something like that. I think and they're going to look for him. I'm going to keep playing him as long as they're going to look for a 3,500 tight end. So those are my favorite pieces of this game. Certainly not a game I'm stacking. Although My only caveat to that is that I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like a Daniel Jones big rushing game here. You know what I mean? I don't really love it to pair him with anybody. I don't really like their receiving core of in any way, except for Waller. But even that, I don't like enough to do it. So probably going to have to skip it. It is weird to see Marquise Brown. I mean, he's really cheap, and Rondale Moore has upside, and he's really cheap. So I'll consider those guys for value, but certainly nothing prioritizing here for me.
So
now get into my team, and this is going to be the toughest one for me to.
Well, I mean, I'll start with it. I mean, first, I mean, the leader of the free world, like the Puka Nacua, right? He's got 400 targets last week. Cooper Kupp remains out, and he's only 4,900. I guess that's the first like kind of moto play that I would think about. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is the Kyren Williams experience. Obviously, the 2 TDs, juiced it up a little bit, but San Francisco's tough. They basically cruised last week, and very, really good defensively. So I don't know what kind of points the Rams could put up, and I really don't know what kind of running game the Rams are going to be able to get involved here. So I wouldn't play him. But the Pakua seems to make a lot of sense, especially considering that these San Francisco guys are pretty good. Like I like the Samuel. I like the Ayuk that the Ayuk invented and created in the factories of Bobby Firestone's ahead. McCaffrey is just freaking legendary. I don't know what to do with him. I just don't think I can pay up for running backs right now. I'd rather do what's sort of what I have on my screen. Something like Pearson White or something like that, and just get the exposure elsewhere. But the Pakua. I mean, how do you not play him? He's got a perfect game script, and he's where all the targets are going. Yes, tough matchup, but I mean, what the hell? What do you like? What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to early in the week have Pakua as like the play. Like I really feel like things could go very differently this week.
Of course, but I mean,
it's a very tough matchup, and I'm not sure San Francisco is going to just like, oh, okay. I don't know how much the Rams are going to be able to get done offensively, to be honest with you.
Right.
I didn't even consider their running backs. In general, I'm not going to often consider their running backs just the way that it is. I don't buy anything. But you can't deny the 15 targets for Nacua. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even the Tutu Atwell had a big game, but on less targets. So I think that you could say to Pakua or Atwell, because they're probably going to be playing from behind. I guess you include in that mix maybe Tyler Higbee, who wasn't as much of a part of everything in week one. But I don't know. For me, I'm not going to play much McCaffrey this year. This is a matchup I don't mind him, but I don't love it. I think that if the game gets, and it's a revenge game for the Niners losing the NFC Championship when they thought they were supposed to win the Super Bowl. So my favorite play in this game is pretty straightforward. It's Deebo Samuel by a lot, and that is probably what I end up doing. And I'm not going to get heavily invested outside of that. I don't think George Kittle's going to put up a couple games this year at 5,300, and he's going to be like people aren't going to want to play him for his price. He's gonna put up a couple games that you're gonna want him. I don't know if this is one of them, but I just wanted to mention that. Pakua, Atwell, or on the other side, either McCaffrey or my favorite of all, Deebo. And I'm telling you right now, Deebo is going to have a big year. I think it might start with this game, so he might actually end up being like in my core. If I had to pick 10 players, he might be in my core. All right.
The Jets against Dallas.
Oh boy,
pass. It's just a pass. I mean, Pollard's okay. I'll go backwards. So Pollard is going to show up as a good running back option. They're a 10-point favorite, right? And Pollard gets to work. Yeah, I guess the Jets defense is pretty freaking stout, but I guess he's probably going to get there. I don't know. He's certainly going to project well enough. So, like him, and pretty much all I got here. You listen. You can go right back to Dallas defense if you felt like paying up. If you want, you could even. I was about to say you could play the Jets defense, but I really don't think that Dallas is going to take too many chances in this game. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be some 20-6 game or something. I don't know. Anyway, Pollard, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think one of Pollard or Lamb here is totally reasonable. That's probably as far as I get invested in this game. I'm interested. Brees Hall is really good, and 5,900. I know splitting with Dalvin Cook and all that stuff. I just want to keep an open mind to him going forward. I actually like Pollard. I don't care that they have a good defense and everything. I like Dallas's offensive line. It's actually an interesting thing. They both have great lines, and I think that Pollard is going to have just an absolutely massive year. So I'm gonna try to force him in. And I think by the end of the year, he'll be that was my prediction before the season, was that he'd be the highest scoring running back this year. And I'm not gonna back away after week 1, where he could have put up a lot more. Even the defense kept scoring, so they didn't have any room for him to get the ball. But Pollard and Lamb, I like. I'm not really that interested in anything else from this game. Trying to see if I'm missing something. Oh, maybe I guess you could throw Jake Ferguson into the mix for Dallas at tight end, but nobody else was a priority for me.
So if you didn't like the Giants-Arizona game, and you didn't like the Jets-Cowboy game, how about Washington-Denver? That's another beauty.
Oh, God.
Okay. At least I have some skill position guys in this game we can play, right? So Terry McLaurin is 5,700. Curtis Samuel, man, no matter – he got 5 targets. I mean, I don't know. Sam Howell was not, I guess, the absolute worst, but I'm not playing these guys. At Denver's coming off a home loss, and they're not gonna show up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And then on the other side of this, I guess go back to Sutton, but again, Washington's pretty stout. I mean, this how did the Mims guy do last week? Two targets after all that? I don't know. Seems like not the slate for it. I don't think I'm gonna play anything here.
Yeah, I don't mind Sutton or Dotson. That's really basically all I have. I guess you could throw Terry McLaurin in the mix. He's, again, another guy who's really cheap, but like, what are they going to do? I mean,
I have to say, like, my usual sarcastic comment. I mean, I think that if you're leading after the 1 o'clock games, I think you can start counting your money. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to beat you from these late games? I mean, people are going to have one-off. People are going to have one-offs of Pollard, right? You might too, right? You might have Pollard to root for, and then I guess some San Francisco guys, maybe.
Yeah.
And well, you know what? You'll be sweating the Arizona defense, because what happens is I think that'll be popular at the end of the day, and those 10 points will be added to everybody's score. You know, and you know how that works. Yeah. And people will be rooting for. If you have a good score at 1 o'clock, you're probably rooting for the Giants to like eat into that defense or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm going to be worried about these big stacks of these games coming to get me. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, does it?
No.
I'm trying to think if there was any of them that would. The only one that maybe could stand up a little bit would be the Niners Rams, because of the rivalry factor. But usually,
you know what is good, by the way? I mean, good for DraftKings, really, is that you're going to know probably at the 1 o'clock game ends where you stand. So people are going to be piling into this late slate.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad point. Although the problem is there's not enough time in between, so it's usually like the most intense hour where everybody does that.
Oh, right. Yeah, but you'll know pretty. I think people have an idea like what's going on there.
Well, I'm looking forward to the afternoon slate. These are the exact kind of slates that I have done well with in the past. These really ugly afternoon ones where.
So let's think about that for a second. Like, so we were just like, if the 1 o'clock games didn't exist, okay.
Yeah.
What would this slate look like? Just these 4 games. Like, I guess your favorite game would probably have to be the Rams game, no?
Yeah, I think you could make an argument for
Denver.
You'd probably be playing them alone, but like Daniel Jones, I think could have a game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have to be the Rams game. I mean,
okay, yeah.
Maybe because of like Dotson, McLaurin, and Sutton's price, maybe you could find something to do in the Denver Washington game. But yeah, man, they're pretty ugly in the afternoon.
This would be the Bobby/JM to win slate with the no 2 guys from the same team, pretty much. But
the weird part is in football and basketball, I actually really do correlate all the time.
That's true.
But yeah, and I don't know if anybody noticed, but last week, so the millionaire winner on FanDuel, which FanDuel, so they run the same one every year. They have it's been since 2000. It's only one time since 2020 that there were no players on this, no correlated players, no players from the same game in any of the roster spots for the second time ever.
So what do the contest sims tools have to say about that?
Well, no, tell us the sims are changing.
What up with that?
What if it happens twice in a row though? Anyway, yeah, it was an ugly afternoon slate, which means I am in there. So just to give you guys a quick thing though for Sunday, me and Rody will do a tomorrow night or Friday morning. We are going to do a position by position show, and then we will have the live show at 11. We'll cover whether it's me or Rody tomorrow because I've got a personal thing to attend to. We will cover the showdown slates. The only showdown slate we're not covering right now in terms of video content is the Sunday night showdown, but we will be I will be posting my builds, and we will be talking about it in the premium Discord and all that stuff. So if you're a paying member, we will have some stuff for you. I
just want to reiterate a couple of plays here. So you saw those builds as I was making them. You know, like it's like you play something like Rashad White, Damian Pierce, and you could weave in the other, like Kenneth Walker, like any of these guys. You know what I mean? If you did that, I mean, if you saw me do it like right here on the spot, you could build like some incredible looking pretty stacks. Like you played like Lawrence, Ridley, Kirk, and then like even Kelsey, for example, with say Arizona defense or something, like with incredible ease. So you're going to be able. This is going to be one of those slates, and you could replace all those good games with these guys. You know what I mean? Like whatever you want. You do the Buffalo guys with Vegas. You could do the Cincinnati guys with Buffalo, Detroit guys with Seattle. All of those work here. So this is going to be one of those weeks where all of your lineups are going to look really good. I don't know if they're actually going to win, but you could build some pretty sweet looking lineups this week.
Yeah, I like it. I'll just throw out real quickly my favorite plays that I came through from the show. Lamar, Mahomes, Lawrence, Geno, Smith, Burrow, and Josh Allen as my favorite quarterbacks. My favorite running backs being Walker and Pierce, and at the low end, the high end, Henry, McCaffrey, and Pollard. In the wide receivers, Metcalf, St. Brown, Ridley, Deebo Samuel, one of Nakua or Atwell, even though I feel still a little shaky about that one. Tight ends, Mark Andrews, Okonwu, and Ertz. Game stacks in order for me, it's going to be Jackson, Tennessee, because honestly, it's the highest scoring game, highest pace game, but it's going to be hard to play it because they don't know who to play from KC outside of Kelsey. So I like that game. I like the Seattle Detroit game second, Baltimore Cincy third, Buffalo Vegas fourth, and then the Chargers Tennessee get an honorable mention for fifth. That's what I've got so far.
I can't disagree with any of that. Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati games, and the afternoon games are just gonna take a back seat. Yep,
absolutely. All right, well, good luck to everyone this week. We look forward to covering it all more for you, and hopefully we'll see some big winners in the Discord. It'll be a fun Sunday sweat to have golf, football. Who knows? Maybe Mishito will probably even have a baseball sweat going on. We don't even know.
No, it'll be like a NASCAR or something like that.
Oh, a NASCAR sweat. There you go. Yes, even better. All right, well, good luck, everyone.